Recently, every Minecraft world I've played has been overtaken by these mysterious entities, forcing me to evacuate and never touch them again, until now. It all started when I got an email from a concerned viewer about a suspicious looking channel called Adam43, and on the surface, it just looked like an average Let's Play channel, but upon further investigation, I can never unsee the things this channel holds. The profile picture just seems to be a screenshot of two signs, but it gets more disturbing with the channel description. Hello, I am Adam. Until 9 months ago, I was a normal Minecraft player. Maybe I still am. I don't know anymore. I just want to play Minecraft peacefully at my house overlooking the view on the mountainside. 9 months ago, right around the time the first video was uploaded to the channel. That's when I realized something was off. But what happened 9 months ago to make Adam question whether he was still normal? The video starts in a village, where we see a thick layer of black fog surrounding Adam. He starts walking into random houses, where we get our first look at something unusual. Villagers without faces. Adam continues walking around and we see more and more villagers in every house. He eventually stops at a big bedrock wall, which seems to create a perimeter around the village, almost like it's trying to keep something out. Adam finds the village well and jumps into it, finding a tunnel near the bottom. At this point, it seems like he's trying to escape, but the bedrock wall is preventing him. He runs down a corridor and sees a sign at the end, before turning back and running the other way. And right before the video ends, we catch a glimpse of this white entity. There's not much more this video shows us apart from the entities and bedrock perimeter, so we'll keep that in mind as we move on to episode 2. Adam starts in what looks to be a bedrock cage, before turning around to reveal a set of stairs. He descends into the darkness and starts sprinting frantically. It's incredibly dark, but we can make out a mineshaft by the wood in the corner. Adam stops for a second to catch his breath before we see the white figure following swiftly behind. But Adam can't outrun it for long and he gets caught. Adam reappears in another staircase, and as he ascends, we can see this figure with a Steve skin running towards him. He continues up the stairs where we see a bunch of signs at the top reading, "Where are we?" It's clear that Adam is in some sort of prison after being captured by the white figure, but the meaning of these signs are still unclear. He continues following the red carpet, and as he reaches another room, we hear a door shut. He finds said door and enters, finding a huge array of the same white figure from before, but instead of chasing him, they were just stagnant. He continues through the corridor and finds another huge room full of signs, where we see a single one that simply reads, "I am here," as the video ends. There's a lot to take in here, but I'm mainly interested in the weird Steve figure. I'm gonna assume he's the leader of all this, and that the white figures are his minions, which explains why there was so many. But the meaning of the signs is even more confusing. Maybe the minions are players who previously roamed the land, brainwashed into becoming puppets for whoever this Steve guy is, and maybe the signs are their cry for help. Adam starts out in a base, where he looks outside to see trees that don't appear to have leaves, along with the fog from earlier. He grabs some gear out of a chest and heads outside, where we see another sign, once again reading, "I am here." The blocks under Adam disappear and he falls into a dimly lit hole, where we see a bunch of redstone torches. But while following the trail, we see the Steve skin again. Adam continues down the corridor, where we see another sign at the end, this time reading, "Look behind." If we listen to the audio for this video, we can hear Morse code at the very end, which directly translates to, "You made me." Adam listens to the sign and turns around, heading back the way he came. He finds a door and opens it, just for it to lead to nothing. The screen goes black, and now he's stuck on a glass block floating above the void. Directly opposite him, we can see the entity from before. Adam asks the entity who he is, but instead gets told that he's running out of luck and needs to either leave or stay forever. He proceeds to tell him that he's got the higher authority before an error appears in chat and the video ends. Once again, there's not a huge amount of things to take away from this video, minus the Morse code and the scene at the end, so remember all this as we move on to episode 4. Immediately as this video starts, we see two new people in chat, Crafted Mysteries and Mini Miner Josh, who we will just call Crafted and Josh. They're talking about needing more iron, and for some reason, Adam thinks Josh's first language isn't English. A few seconds go by and we see a player enter a house on the ground. The other players continue talking like normal until Adam decides to say something. The other players seem super shocked and ask Adam who he is, to which he simply responds, I am Adam. He tells the players where he is and how he got there. Adam tries to calm them down, but they seem completely terrified of him. Adam asks them if he can stay and explore the world, to which they seem skeptical, but they oblige anyway, and the video ends. It seems like the guy from the previous video teleported Adam into their world, even though it had a whitelist on. But who were the players in this world? I tried to search their names on YouTube, but all I could find was this, a channel by the name of Crafted Mysteries, the same username as the guy in the video. And if we check out his videos, we can see one with Adam's name in the title. We can immediately notice the same chat messages from earlier, and can work out this is a recount of what we just watched, but from Crafted's POV. He talks about the same stuff with Josh, and then we see Adam type his first message again. The video continues, and we get our first look at Adam from another person's view. His skin looks pretty normal, but he doesn't seem to have a name tag. The video continues, but we've already seen all of this. I was curious and checked the description of all of these videos, and noticed something completely unexplainable. You see, every video since the start has had a recording and upload date in the description. But what makes this one so weird is that Adam's POV has the recording date set 2 days prior to Crafted's. Is he some sort of time traveler, or is there a deeper significance that we are yet to uncover? Adam finds himself in the same world from last episode, where he talks about how the others don't trust him. He travels into the forest to cut down some trees, when he notices a small hole in the floor containing a staircase leading to a door. Adam claims that it wasn't there before, as he descends into the hole. He opens the door and it cuts to him in a bedrock box. He looks around before opening his inventory, where we can see that his skin is upside down. Adam continues to the door in the room, opening it to reveal what looks like the chamber from episode 3, when Adam was teleported into the world with Crafted and Josh. He builds up to the place where he fell down originally, revealing he's back in his original world, where he digs into his base and the video ends. We have a lot to digest in this video, but let's start with the description. We have a pretty normal looking description, with the recording and upload date, which we can see is 2 weeks after the previous video. But when we scroll down, you can notice some Morse code near the bottom, which reads, "We don't have much time, you need to help me." I'm also starting to notice a theme in this world. Every time Adam ends up someplace weird, there's always been redstone torches. But what is their significance? My first thought is that it has something to do with Herobrine, as redstone torches have always been a signature sign of his, and that paired with the Steve skin would make a lot of sense. If we go back to earlier in the video, when Adam entered the door, we can see an image flash for a single second, and when we pause, we can make out what looks to be Herobrine, with black eyes instead of white. So it seems like these redstone torches do seem to have some sort of correlation to Herobrine. But who is this man with the black eyes, and what does he want with Adam? We get another scene featuring Adam in his base, when an error pops up in chat, followed by a message reading, Herobrine. This seemingly confirms our theory from last episode, that all of this has something to do with Herobrine. Errors keep popping up in chat, and the last one reads, teleporting players to new world, before Adam disappears and reappears in another dark room. As he walks forward though, we see rows upon rows of the same white puppets from before, like an army. Adam walks through the rows of puppets and then the video just ends. The presence of Herobrine is really starting to solidify at this point. Apart from this though, there really is nothing to see from this video. I would say this black-eyed Herobrine is the leader of everything, and that the puppets that we saw was his army, which aligns with what we thought earlier in the video. Looking for answers, I checked Crafted's channel again, where I found that he had uploaded 2 more videos. Within them, we may find the answers that we need. Crafted starts out in a pretty normal looking world, but we can immediately notice the trees are missing their leaves, same as in Adam's world. He seems frantic, typing, "Oh crap, is he coming?" in all caps, before running away and hopping into a conveniently placed minecart leading into a cave. Crafted descends deeper into the cave before finding a 2x2 mine that seems to go on infinitely, but while walking, he gets attacked by this random entity, although it's too dark to make out their skin. He reaches the end of the corridor, only to find the same theme of a bedrock box, red carpet, and signs. All of a sudden, the entity that hit him before appears again, and Crafted starts running. He continues running until we see a message in chat from the username Shadow Figure, saying, "You can't escape from shadows." I think it's obvious that this shadow figure is the weird silhouette of a player, but this video as a whole is super confusing. One thing we can notice though is the corridor that Crafted ran down. Another telltale sign of Herobrine has always been the 2x2 tunnels that people randomly find in their worlds, which seems to be exactly what this is. But is it actually Herobrine behind this, or is it some sort of alternate reality version of him boasting black eyes? It would make a lot of sense, as he seems to have all the traits of him, almost like he's some sort of evil twin. Maybe this Herobrine's name is the one we saw in chat last video, with a bunch of numbers replacing the letters. We'll keep this in mind as we move on to the next video, which seems to show Crafted back in the same cave again. We can see a player with the name The Unknown talking in chat, saying that he knows too much. He, likely referring to Crafted. Crafted continues lurking in the corridor until we spot the shadow figure again, and it starts to chase him. He outruns it for a while, and we see the Unknown type in chat again, stating that Crafted knows too much to live safe. He tries to run further, but reaches a dead end, as the shadow figure catches him and the video ends. I'm now wondering what they meant in chat earlier, when they said that he knew too much. Everything looked pretty normal apart from what we saw. So what did Crafted see that he wasn't supposed to, and what happened after they caught him? For now, we're gonna sit with what we have, as we move on to Adam's next video. We see Adam in the same spot as last episode, as he seems to reach the end of the puppets. He finds a door with a sign containing binary above it. Adam continues through the door and we see a shot of his house, which gets skipped to a POV of him building a villager house. At the end of this clip though, we can see a Steve figure pop out from behind another house, before the video skips to him walking down the room with the red carpet, which we've already seen before. He reaches the end and we see the Steve skin again, before we see another scene with just the Steve figure reading, "Wake up." We can assume that what we've just seen is Adam's memories, which would make sense as that is the name of the video, and the reappearing Steve figure again, that we've seen in almost every video now. I knew there had to be some sort of deeper meaning to this video, so I checked the description, where we can see some binary code. When translated, this reads, "Wake up, you can't sleep forever, you're my puppet." Once again, this leads back to our theory from before, that the white figures were former players, and that the black-eyed Steve was trying to make all of them his puppets, with Adam being the next potential victim. But we'll keep all of this in mind as we move on to the next episode. Adam starts the video by running away from someone when he talks about having to use something to escape. He then says that he can't kill him, and that he took all of his items. He then seems to check if the coast is clear, before digging into the mountain to reveal some sort of machine. There's a warning sign asking if Adam's sure before using it, but he breaks it and types yes, as he flicks the lever and jumps inside. The screen goes black for a second, but when we come back, he seems to be in the ruins of an explosion. It's likely that the machine malfunctioned and blew up, as Adam's skin has changed to seem more corrupted. He then attempts to change his game mode to creative, which for some reason works. Adam comments something about being able to help him now, as the video skips again, and we see a new world that hasn't been shown to us yet. Adam tries to type in chat, but doesn't send the message and instead clears it, before walking out the back door and climbing a mountain. He starts typing a bunch of things in chat, but doesn't actually send any of them. All of the messages seem to talk about protecting him, but who is this mysterious person he spent the whole video talking about? I think there's a fair chance that this person is Crafted, as we haven't really seen any other evidence of another player that would need any sort of protection. Another thing I noticed is that Crafted's channel commented on this video. The comment reads, "Protection comes at a price. Are you ready to pay it?" And we can see Adam respond with, "I've already paid with my soul." Maybe the protection that Crafted talked about was the ability to gain off, which Adam did seem to sell his soul for, which explains why he talks so heavily about protecting someone, and why his skin seems almost corrupted. Perhaps the answer we need to this will reveal itself within Adam's next video, which seems to be completely unrelated to the rest. It starts out with him messing around with some sort of NPC mod, but when he talks in chat, we find out it's actually not Adam at all, and instead a completely different person by the name of Taken Hay. He continues to mess around with settings inside of the mod, before we see one of the NPCs fully moving on its own, almost like they gained complete consciousness. The NPC jumps into a nearby ravine and starts running, before we see it disappear into the darkness. Taken tries to run after it, but it's already ran too far. If we immediately check the comments, we can see Crafted again, writing, "Actions have consequences." At this point, I'm starting to come to the conclusion that the NPC might be the black-eyed Steve, which would add on to what Crafted commented. And if we go back to one of the first episodes on Adam's channel, we hear some Morse code, which ended up translating to "You made me," which would make a lot of sense, as the NPC was made by Taken Hay, but it seems to have somehow gained sentience, almost like it wants revenge, almost like his actions had consequences. We head back to Crafted's channel with this new video, entitled Simulation. We can instantly notice that he's in the same base that we saw in Adam's previous video, when he talked about protecting someone. This almost confirms our earlier theory, that Crafted was the person he was trying to protect. Crafted makes some tools and steps outside, only to notice a big patch of bedrock directly behind his house. He continues outside as if nothing happened, heading off to chop down some trees. But while he's doing this, we notice a player standing right next to a ravine. Crafted goes in that direction, but the player jumps down and we don't see him after that. He decides to travel back towards his house, but nothing super interesting happens and the video ends. While uneventful, this is a good video for establishing the world and the theme of corruption. When rewatching the video though, I did notice that the player we saw earlier was Adam, so we'll keep this in the back of our minds as we move on to Crafted's next video, which features him in the same base again, except this time at night. Instantly, we can notice so many things going on, mostly the new things happening outside his house. We can see the bedrock patch has gotten a lot bigger, as well as a new patch of red nether brick, alongside what seems to be just a huge missing chunk. Crafted doesn't seem to notice this though, instead focusing on the footstep sounds that he hears overhead. He notices a redstone torch in the distance, directly in the middle of the nether brick, and heads towards it. But while he heads over there, we can pick up on another chat message from Adam, telling him to look behind, where we spot Adam in the doorway of his house. Adam dips back inside the house though, leaving Crafted to take a look at the sign, which simply reads forest. He heads towards the forest on his right, where we see Adam from a lot closer up. He starts thanking him in chat, before Adam delivers a long message, reading, "Wake up, maybe I can't take you out, but I will destroy this world," before running off into the darkness. He then starts talking to Crafted about how he saw Satan himself, before correcting himself by saying, or should I say, Herobrine itself. Crafted proceeds to mention that he saw Herobrine's soldiers, likely referring to the puppets from earlier, but Adam quickly corrects him, stating that they aren't soldiers but slaves, before the video abruptly cuts to daytime and the chat is cleared. Adam tells Crafted that Herobrine is here, before stating that he's leaving as the video ends. This video is completely packed with content, especially with all the dialogue happening between Adam and Crafted. Apart from this though, we already covered most of the things this video has to offer, so with that out of the way, we can move on to the next video on Crafted's channel, Escape. The video commences with Crafted in the same house as last video, as he exits and starts walking around outside, obviously in a state of confusion. He proceeds to tell us that it's been a week since the last video, and he's still alone in this world. He talks about waiting for an escape before heading back to his house, only to find a huge missing chunk where his stairs used to be, and another one a few seconds later in the nether brick region. The video randomly cuts and we finally get to see Adam again, where he tells Crafted to look down into the hole, but when he eventually does, imagine you're playing Minecraft with your friend, when out of nowhere, they ask you this.
Yo, I found this leaked version of Minecraft. You on it?
I don't know.
Dude, come on, trust me.
Alright. But as you download it, you start to notice that things seem weird. You start hearing cursed sounds, noticing strange things, and even seeing other players in your worlds. But what is this secret version of Minecraft, and why does it exist? This is the story of Jason992, the kid in the intro who got the version sent to him by a friend. After he started noticing all the weird things occurring in his world, he created a YouTube channel to document it all, and his first video is where everything starts. The video opens with Jason creating a new world on the Minecraft version that his friend sent him. Up the top left we can see that it says Minecraft Black Edition and that multiplayer is disabled for some reason. He clicks single player and creates the world on a new slot, loading in and spawning on a beach. He breaks a tree, gets some wood and makes his basic tools before starting to explore some caves. Jason finds a spot he likes and starts to build a place to live. After a bit though, he runs out of cobblestone and has to leave his spot. But while he's mining, the fog randomly closes in on him. He takes notice of this and looks around in a state of confusion before going back to mining. He tries to continue building his house and he ends up running out of wood with just a single block remaining. But as he tries to go get more to finish his build, we hear a loud sound which seems to startle Jason. And as he looks around for a source, we see this black silhouette of a player for a single second before the figure disappears. Shook by what just happened, Jason leaves the world and the video ends. But now we have to wonder, who is this mysterious player and where did he come from? If we watch the YouTube video with subtitles on, we can see that when Jason notices the player, a set of Morse code appears. And when you check the comments, you can see it translates to "I am null," which means we now know this mysterious player's identity. Null. This is probably not the last time we're going to see this guy though, so remember it as we move on to episode 2, House Showcase. The video starts with Jason in his house and a notepad window open. He begins typing, "Sorry about that, my Bandicam cut." Above this, we can see earlier notes where he explains what happened in the previous video.
So I got access to this weird developer version of Minecraft. I mean, I don't know how my friend did it, but he got the file for it, and he's cool.
Then waiting a few lines before typing,
I just hope that weird entity doesn't show up.
From this we can work out that Jason's playing a developer build of Minecraft, made only to be able to test the game, confirmed by the name of the window, Minecraft Black, only for developers. The last part being in all caps though seems suspicious, making it seem like a virus packaged as a test version. Jason unpauses the game and crafts some torches to light up his base, when suddenly the Minecraft music starts blasting at max volume. Confused, Jason types in his notepad,
That's weird. Why didn't the start of Mice on Venus play?
Before returning to the game. But after a few seconds, we hear the weird sound again. Jason starts looking around, trying to see if the mysterious player appeared again, but found nothing. He retreats into his house and blocks up a door before typing,
What was that sound?
If we check the subtitles again, you can see the phrase, "I am null." It's clear now that this sound has a direct correlation with null, with both times we heard it coming within seconds of the subtitles. Jason types that he needs to get more wood and sets out in search of a tree. But when he finds the tree and starts to mine it, this happens. The game glitches and speeds up, killing Jason. So far, the game seems to always be glitching in one way or another, which isn't unexpected for a developer build, but this felt different. Speeding up the entire game and putting other players in your single player worlds is an entirely new level of buggy. So glitchy that it almost feels deliberate. Now we have to wonder, is this only the surface of this seemingly corrupted Minecraft version, or is there something deeper and darker waiting to be uncovered? Episode 3 begins with Jason at the main menu, his notepad open like always. He types out a simple intro, explaining that he's going to try and recover his gear after the events of the last episode, but as he loads into the world, something weird happens. He glitches through the floor of his house, taking note of this by typing,
That was weird.
He crafts some basic tools and then sets out to the place where he died, stopping to grab some stone on the way. But while he makes his way over there, he runs into a deep cave that piques his interest. He makes his way back to the house to take some torches and explore the cave. But as soon as he gets down to the bottom, he hears some cave noises that seem to spook him, prompting him to leave the cave almost instantly. Eventually, he returns to where he died, only to see a creeper hole with no loot. He keeps exploring, and that's when we catch a small but strange detail, a half-broken tree. Jason doesn't seem to notice it at all, but if you remember, Jason's been recording every second of the world since he created it, apart from that one episode where his recording cut. But we've never seen him mine this tree, so either he cut it down in the episode that we never saw, or someone or something else did. Jason continues exploring until he finds a new cave that looks interesting, but while he's digging for coal, he mines into another cave and stares into the darkness, almost like he sees something that we can't. He exits the cave and types,
Next video, I'll go mining, but the cave sounds are creepy.
before saying goodbye and ending the video. This video is probably the most important one we've seen so far. From the mysterious tree to the caves, the world itself seems less stable than before. If we go by the logic on the same two videos, there's likely something hidden in the subtitles again. Sure enough, just near the end, when Jason stares into the cave, we see a message which when decoded reads, "Join us, Jason." But this line raises even more questions. Who is us? We've only seen Null so far, the mysterious figure that appeared near Jason's house without explanation in episode 1. But this message suggests that there are others, possibly more entities in similar fashion to Null. Maybe Null was just the beginning, a calm before the storm of other entities. It makes me wonder, was this world ever truly under Jason's control, or was he purely a guest the entire time? Jason opens the video by telling us that he's going to go mining, and updates us on what happened when he wasn't recording.
Hello everyone, I'm back, and this time I'm gonna go mining off camera. I got a few more torches so I don't run out. and I got a surprise for you back at the house.
He starts exploring the cave before claiming that it sucks and leaving. While he's on the way to find another cave, the music starts randomly playing again, unprompted with no intro. This has been a recurring theme at this point, happening in every episode except 3, but what does it even mean? While searching for a cave, Jason finds a dungeon sticking out of a mountain wall. He kills the mobs inside and then loots the chest, getting excited over all the good stuff he finds. So far the video seems normal, but as Jason continues to explore around the world, the sun starts setting. From what we learned earlier, Jason doesn't like the dark, choosing to carry torches everywhere he goes. He hurries back to his base to skip the night, but as he's returning we hear the sound again. It startles Jason, but he continues on as normal. He returns to his house and seems relieved, typing, "Thank God I made it just in time." Jason nearly dies trying to fend off a zombie as he blocks up his door, stating that he's just going to stay in his house and trying to find armor ASAP before the video ends. There's not a huge amount of takeaway from this video, despite it being the longest one yet. The only thing that really happened was the sound again. If we go back to when it happened, we can see a subtitle appear, reading, "I'm here." By this point, we haven't seen Null since episode 1, so is the entity stalking Jason even the same one anymore? We know from last episode that there's multiple that exist, so who is the entity that's seemingly following him, and what are its true intentions? But something I do know is your intentions, which is subscribing to the channel, right? These videos take a long time to make, and subscribing helps me make the videos I want to. It's free and means a lot. Back to the video. The video opens with Jason in his house again, as he tells us that he plans to go mining for armor.
Hello everybody, today we'll be going mining to get armor.
But as he leaves to search for a cave, the weird sound happens again. For the first time since episode 1, we finally see the figure again. It comes paired with some binary code in the subtitles, which, when translated, reads,
"Come join us, Jason. You will finally be happy."
If we go back to the previous video, the subtitles also read, "Join us, Jason." But once again, who is us and why do they want Jason to join them? Jason pauses the game and starts typing in his notes again.
You guys saw that too, right? It was standing right here. Someone please screenshot that and send it to me.
He continues to go mining and get some iron before returning back to base. He tells us his bandicam is about to run out and the video ends. Jason commences the video by telling us that he wants to add a second story onto his house,
Hello everybody, today we'll be adding a second story to our awesome base.
adding on that he needs to go collect wood. He cuts down some trees before stopping by the beach to grab some sand for windows. But as he's returning back to base, a wave of darkness appears over the world as time seems to speed up for just a second. Jason doesn't think much of it and just heads inside the house to start smelting the sand. But while he's crafting his logs into planks, music starts randomly playing again, like it has been the past few episodes. This time though, it was a lot louder than usual, but Jason still doesn't really take notice, instead explaining what he's gonna do with his house remodel. He crafts some more stairs and starts building a staircase to the second floor. But while he's designing his staircase, we hear the sound of an Enderman. But Enderman weren't added until beta 1.8, the same update as Hunger, which Jason doesn't have. So why would there be an Enderman in a version where they didn't exist? Jason goes on to finish his staircase as he starts work on the walls of the second floor. He eventually finishes up on the second floor and heads back down to smelt some more sand, stopping to type that he's going to have to get more wood and coal. But as he heads upstairs, he hears the sound again. Jason frantically looks around to try to find the entity. There's nothing to be found. He stops to type in his notepad, saying,
There it is. Again, what's with that glitch? Where is that guy?
That guy, obviously referring to Null, or the mysterious entity that we've seen twice now. Jason checks all of his windows, trying to find where the entity is, but he doesn't succeed in doing so. As the night ends, Jason leaves his house again, to get the wood and coal that he mentioned needing earlier. After collecting the wood, he returns back to craft it to planks, heading upstairs to break the cobblestone he used as a placeholder yesterday. But when he returns downstairs to craft up some chests, he hears the sound again. Although this time he seems unfazed. Jason returns upstairs to complete his house before coming back down to take a photo in front of it as the video ends. After watching this video, my entire view has changed. Why was there a teleport sound effect if Endermen weren't in the game yet? Was it possible that the sound was made by the same entities seen previously? They have been known to appear and disappear, so it's not completely out of the question. But what if these weren't just random entities and actually an early development version of an Enderman? So now we have to wonder, are the entities actually just bugs in the game? Or were they created intentionally for a more malicious reason? The video opens with Jason at the main menu, as he tells us that he's going to be getting more iron, but as he goes to join the world, he finds that it just disappeared. Jason, confused, types,
What the? Where is my world? Did someone delete it? My progress is gone.
He decides to just suck it up and create a new world, getting the same basic resources again before scouting for another base location. He starts building on his house before the creepy glitch sound plays again. But once again, no entity is in sight. After this happens, he notices that a fire has started in the forest. He attempts to put it out, but there's no point as it's spreading so fast. Jason's bandicam runs out and he ends up leaving for a bit, but returns an hour later to find the entire forest and his house burnt down. Jason decides to relocate to avoid his house burning down again, building a new one inside of a cave. While building though, Jason gets into a fight with a zombie, leaving him at just half a heart. But when he breaks a block in the wall, the zombie manages to finish him off. Jason respawns in the forest from spawn, which is now entirely burnt down. Jason decides to just create another world. He gets some wood again, but while he's searching for a base, he finds this glitched block with no texture. It probably means nothing though. He creates a new base before saying that his bandicam's gonna run out again and ending the video. One thing we can immediately say about this video is that the glitch sound effect seems to be the cause of burning down the forest, almost like one of the entities did it themselves. And if we check the subtitles, we get a cipher that translates to "have some fire," seemingly confirming that theory. We can tell from this point that the subtitles seem to be the entity's way of speaking to Jason, and the fact that they're lighting fires in his world probably means they are very angry with him. Maybe he's invading somewhere he shouldn't be, and this is their way of preventing that. Unfortunately, there's not a lot more we can take away from this video, as pretty much nothing happened apart from the big fire. But maybe we'll find our answer in the finale. Episode 8, I'm Here. The video starts off with a new view that we haven't seen before, one where we can see Jason's desktop and he doesn't have Notepad open. The video starts with Jason in a new house, though it's one that looks unfamiliar. He starts by smelting up some food and crafting himself some armor, but when Jason goes to exit the house, the sound plays again. This time accompanied by a music disc. The music disc is titled C418 I'm Here with a smiley face. This is obviously not a real music disc, so how did it start playing and where is it coming from? Jason looks around, confused, before going to grab some water from the pond. If we listen to this music disc, we can tell that it's a reverse version of Sweden. Jason leaves his house to go light up the surrounding area, but then he breaks the torches immediately after. He then returns to his base as the video cuts. There's a lot to unpack from this video. First being the subtitles when the glitch happens. The subtitles translate to "sounds a little quiet, let's add some music," with the same creepy smiley face from the title and music name. But what did the name of the music disc actually mean? I think it's pretty obvious that it means that something's there with him, but who or what is it? By the time the video ends, we really didn't get most of our questions answered, leaving everything up to imagination. Music seems to be a big part of the channel, with almost every video containing a Minecraft song playing completely unprompted, but we never got any closure on what it means. But was there ever any more entities than just null? And who was the us that they spoke of? Were all of these entities players that used to play this version before, whose souls were forever trapped in here to haunt those who decided to play it now? What if null was just Jason's friend the entire time, and the whole thing was an elaborate prank on him? There's so many possibilities that we really can't narrow it down to just one, and the video never gives us closure. But what happened to Jason after this last video? It came to such an abrupt ending that the only possible thing that could have happened was they got him. What if you were being watched in your own Minecraft world, but not by another player or by a hacker, but by thousands of people watching you online? Everywhere you go, your every move is being monitored, and it's all broadcasted to this one website, mccams.org. Now, unfortunately, if you try to visit this site, it no longer exists, but I found the channel with detailed recordings and accounts from the website. So with that all out of the way, let's dive into the mystery of the player who was always being watched. The first video opens with some text on the screen, reading,
Hey, so I found this weird website.
followed by,
I'm gonna look into it.
in the background we can see the website open on what looks like the homepage, featuring what seems to be 8 different images of in-game screenshots. Below every screenshot there's also an ID number, but we're not sure what these numbers indicate yet. Apart from that, we can see the website URL up the top, mccams.org, typed into the browser Safari. The video continues to say,
If anything weird happens, I'll upload it, but for now, I'll look into some cameras.
before the video abruptly ends. This first video was incredibly short, but it gave us a good overview of the website and how it works. From what the person recording said last, we can assume that the screenshots down the bottom are cameras, each having an ID number attached to differentiate between them. Even though we didn't get a massive insight into the cameras from this first video, that all changes with the second video entitled Camera Found. The second video commences with the MC Cam site open again, with a camera open that seems to have been planted in a player's base. At the top of the site it reads camera live, seemingly indicating that we are currently watching a live feed. Directly under that text there's an ID number for the camera and how long the camera has been active, which is, in this instance, 14 hours. Nothing happens for the first minute of the video, just showing the static shot of the base and nothing more. But at the minute mark you can hear a player's footsteps approaching the base. And then they appear in view, walking over to their chest and opening it, likely depositing something into it. We can also assume this is night, as the player sleeps in the bed, but as soon as they wake up, the player seems to notice the camera, walking over and trying to break it as the feed cuts off. This is the first instance of a camera that we've seen so far, but now the question is, how did the camera manage to stay up for 14 hours without the player noticing? We are still yet to see what these cameras actually look like, so we have to assume that they must be hidden really well. After watching this video, I noticed some words out of the corner of my eye in the description. These words were obviously an encoded message of some sort that probably gave some clues on what this secret camera site is. I also noticed that in the description, the location is set as Caesar cipher, one of the most popular methods of encrypting phrases. So when I put these words in the description into a Caesar cipher decoder, it gave me, "Why do you keep trying to?" These words had no initial meaning and I assumed it was just a red herring, and then I thought to check the description of the first video. In this description there was a link to a paste bin, a well-known site for sharing long strings of text. When I opened it, I saw the title just had the word stop 5 times, and for the contents of this link it had another random jumble of words, which, when read backwards, gave me stop trying before it's too late. I was confused on what it wanted us to stop trying to do, as both of the decoded messages had been telling us to stop trying, but maybe the answer we need is in the next episode. Episode 3, Anomaly 1. Episode 3 starts with a camera showing what seems to be a villager trading hall, with a zombie in a boat in the middle and some shulker boxes scattered around. The runtime on this live feed is only 5 hours, which is short compared to how long the last one was. And the ID for this camera is 21538, which, if you remember, is the same ID from the second episode, possibly meaning that this is the same camera that has been put up in another spot, likely watching over the same player's base. Around 30 seconds into the video, the camera swaps to a different room, in what looks like the same base. But now there's a player in view, wearing full netherite armor and trading with villagers. You can tell it's the same base in both cameras by the repeating quartz and deep slate design, along with the villagers, meaning this player likely has multiple cameras set up in their base without their knowledge. And if you look really closely, you can notice that one of the villagers doesn't break eye contact with the camera the entire time it's shown, possibly indicating that this villager is onto something and might either know or have something to do with the cameras. After another 30 seconds, the POV of the camera switches again, showing the same room in a different perspective. The same villager is now staring at the new camera, not breaking eye contact at all while the player stands still, possibly AFK. The camera changes point of view again, after only about 10 seconds this time, and if you look really hard, you'll notice that the same villager is looking at the camera yet again. But it's really hard to notice unless you're looking at it directly. This solidifies the theory earlier that he might be onto something or have some sort of involvement in the setting up of the cameras. The player still stands AFK as the camera changes again, now showing an underground sugarcane farm with all of the crops fully grown. There doesn't seem to be anything at all in this shot, but if you notice something, leave it in the comment. We then see the camera swap back to the original POV, showing the zombie in the boat and the villagers again, with the zombie staring directly into the camera, exactly like the villager was. Then the video ends, tying back to the title of the video, which is Anomaly, meaning something that's different or unusual that should typically be normal, and it could possibly be referring to the villager and the zombie, as they were the only entities looking at the camera, making them anomalies. Aside from this discovery, there's also more words in the description, one that looks like another Caesar cipher, and one that just looks like a random string of letters. The cipher, when decoded, reads out, "You're running out of chances," relating back to the previous ciphers asking us why we kept trying. This other string of letters, however, took me a lot longer to figure out. After a couple hours, I came to the realization that it was the end of a YouTube link, and when I pasted it, it was an unlisted video titled Email, spanning only 3 seconds. The video shows multiple different screenshots of the same email, all incoming from the email MC Cams. The email subject is just "stop trying," and the contents is yet another cipher that, once decoded, translates to "you have to stop trying before it's too late. If you don't stop, we will find you and do anything it takes to get those videos never seen again." The email seems to be a message from the camera website, presumably telling the person recording to stop trying to upload their cameras onto the YouTube channel. The real reason though is why. Their website is a public domain anyone can access, and the only reason I could think of for why they wouldn't want just anyone to access it is to make sure the cameras stay up and that the player being watched never realizes what's going on. Unfortunately, there really isn't a lot of information we can get from this video, as it's so short, but where we can get that information is episode 4. Anomaly 2. The video opens with the exact same camera as the last video, Anomaly 1, but a few things have changed. The zombie in the boat has been moved across the room and now there's a red shulker box where there used to be only purple. The camera ID is the exact same as usual and the runtime is only 2 hours, presumably how long the player has been on the world for. The zombie is still staring into the camera exactly like it was before, never breaking contact once. The camera stays in this position for well over a minute, with nothing significant really occurring, until about a minute and a half in, when something crazy happens. The camera had changed to show a player's POV as we watched them harvest sugarcane in the farm we saw last episode. This is the first time we've seen the player be active in this base, as the previous episode they were seemingly AFK. After the player is done farming sugarcane, they replant some of it and then head into the next room, a little 3x3 room with shulker boxes for the floors. The player looks to the left for about a single second, where we can see an iron door with what looks like lava behind it, before looking back towards another hallway. But why would the player just have a room full of lava behind an iron door? They obviously can't go in there or they would die, so why does it even exist? Maybe we'll get more insight into this door in a future episode, but for now we can only theorize. The player turns down the other corridor and into the room where we saw the first camera, giving us a real look at the layout of the base and being able to put into perspective where every camera is. The player quickly exits the room and turns into their farmer villager room, which we also saw last episode, before the video cuts to the player staring into the camera in the first room as the footage starts to glitch out even more than it currently is. This is our first look into how the cameras look, and the real question is, how is the player never noticed until now? The combined uptime of the cameras from this episode and the one prior totals 7 hours, so how has the player never noticed these cameras after being in their base for 7 whole hours? The player attempts to break the camera, to which they are unsuccessful as it seems the cameras are indestructible. Then the video just ends. As per usual, there's another Caesar cipher in the description, and when you shift the letters 3 times, it reads,
"You're out of chances."
The video starts in the perspective of a player, where we can see they're in a plains biome near a village. The website looks slightly different though, as this camera doesn't have an ID, nor does it show the runtime, instead displaying the word Redacted. The player seems to act as normal, just walking around and killing mobs for food. At around 10 seconds in, we see a house-like structure, presumably the player's new base after the previous ones were compromised by cameras. The player continues to walk around and kill mobs for another minute, before entering the house and grabbing coal from their chest to smelt the raw food they just got. Everything seems as normal, until the footage starts glitching out again as the player turns around to find a big security camera inside of their house. They attempt to break it and are met with the word error being spammed in chat in big red text. Then the video cuts to a shot of their house burning down. We can assume the player burnt down their own house, presumably due to the stress of finding cameras in every base they live in. Everywhere they go, the cameras seem to follow them, but we still don't know how they get in the player's base and who is behind it all. During the shot of the player's house burning down, we get a split-second shot which, when slowed down, shows an image of the player's house before anything happened. I don't think there's anything visible in the image, but if I'm wrong, feel free to comment your observations. The video cuts back to the house burning, then the static shot of the house again. However, this image is different from the last, as we can see the yellow flowers that were in the distance turned blue. Then the video cuts back to the house burning and ends. There's a lot to take away from this video, one of the main ones being the flowers changing colour. If we go back to the normal video, we can see that the flowers are indeed yellow, so why did they end up changing to a light blue tint, and what does it mean? The video starts with the player in a desert temple, facing a chest with a mangrove sign on it. The sign isn't visible at all, but upon turning up the exposure we can make out the phrase, "For your travels, MC cams." It appears that the person recording got a gift from the secret camera website, maybe a sign of the fact that they have control over their world. The chest contains 53 oak planks and 32 cobblestone, an oddly specific number that we might need to remember for later. As the player opens the chest though, you can hear a piece of TNT light, which is not uncommon for a desert temple, even though the person recording isn't in the vault. The TNT blows up and causes a huge explosion, leaving the player with barely any health left. The player then takes a water stream to the surface to assess the damage, where we see that the explosion blew up the entire temple. The player then spots a pillager outpost on the other side of the desert and rushes towards it. While on their way though, they spot a deep cave, where they stop to craft some signs and continue on their way. The player then walks over to a desert well and places the sign directly in the middle, writing out the word help. We can assume that the perspective we're seeing right now is the player that's been reappearing in every camera, with the fact that he's lost in a desert asking for help indicating that he feels too scared to create a base, knowing how quickly cameras will be set up if he does. The player continues towards the pillager outpost, stopping again to place a sign reading, "Where am I?" But instead of the sign showing the message the player wrote, it displayed a different message, a message of random characters interchanging rapidly. The player breaks the sign and continues on their way, the theme of noticing weird stuff not stopping when they place down a sign 10 seconds later. This time it reads, "Is this torture?" which then again changed to the random characters from before. What we can gather from this is that it appears as if the player is in limbo, almost like the cameras have drove them literally insane, to the point where they have no clue where they are, like they wrote on the sign earlier. The player finally reached another pillager outpost, where he breaks in and goes upstairs to loot the chest. Another thing we can note is that there's no mobs spawning at all, and if you remember earlier, when the TNT exploded, the player healed up almost instantly. So now we know that the single player world is in peaceful mode. This information will definitely be useful later, so remember it. After looting the chest in the pillager outpost, the player pillars up onto the roof with sandstone blocks, placing down a crafting table and another sign, writing the word help again. As per usual, the sign turns to these random characters again. The player then places another sign and writes why, probably confused as to all the paranormal activity going on right now, from the weird chest at the start to the signs changing every time he writes on them. The player then goes to the edge of the outpost and bridges diagonally while a few minutes go by, only stopping when they literally ran out of blocks. At the end, we can see the player was bridging towards a village, coming a few stacks of blocks short from reaching it. They then look at the village and stare up at the moon as the video ends. This video gave us a huge insight into how the player really feels about all the cameras set up around their world, showing us that it's obviously causing them some sort of paranoia and driving them clinically insane. The player also seems to be stuck in a never-ending limbo where they can't communicate with anyone, showing the need to use signs over the typical methods like chat. And my theory is that the camera website has this player wrapped around the palm of their hand. Episode 7 is a 9-second video, entitled chance.jar. This video just depicts another email again, similar to the unlisted video we saw before, though this time the subject is just the word escape, and the sender is listed as unknown. The contents of the email are just a few words, stating if you want to escape, end the night. And if we remember, the last episode ended with the player staring at the moon, as it wasn't moving in the sky, and the video was also 11 minutes long, while a Minecraft day is 20, meaning that we would have seen the daylight for at least 5 minutes before it turned night, because at the end of the video, the moon was directly above the player, meaning the night cycle was halfway finished. And if we go back to the second video, we can remember the player sleeping in the bed before waking up and finding the camera, meaning it was also night then. And during episode 5, the shot of the house burning down was also during the night time. But what is the significance of the night, and how can we end it in a world where time never changes? The video opens with the player walking into a desert village and entering a house. I'm going to assume that this village is the same one we saw at the end of episode 6, when the player ran out of blocks trying to get over to it. As we can see, it's still night outside and the time hasn't changed at all. As the player exits the house, they press the stone button above the blast furnace, which doesn't appear to do anything. He then walks over to another village house, and where there would normally be a bed, there was nothing. Just an empty space where the bed should be. Maybe it's just a bug, or maybe it's the camera website preventing him from ending the night, as we learned earlier that ending the night means escape. The player walks out of the house and music starts to play, but not normal Minecraft music or ambient sounds, but this creepy piano song. The player's movement seems to get more frantic upon hearing this, running in and out of houses likely looking for beds, until he enters this one particular house, with nothing inside except for decorations and a smoker. But when he exits the rear door, you can see these pigs with an unusual texture, making them appear more red than pink. After the players checked every single house and still can't find a bed, they place down a sign, writing, "Can anyone hear this?" This is probably referring to the creepy piano music, showing us that it's being played inside of Minecraft. Immediately after this, the screen starts glitching out again, as the player seems to get more frantic and starts jumping around. A string of letters pops up on the screen, then the video ends. These letters appear to be another YouTube URL, which, when entered into a browser, brings up a new video video titled Announcement. This video depicts the MC Cam's homepage again, which we haven't seen since episode 1, although the site doesn't seem to have changed at all. The screen is still glitching out like the video prior, and the text reads, "Your plan won't work. Stop trying to escape. We have done everything to make sure you can't," followed by a long string of 1s and 0s. We now know that the camera website is aware of the player's attempts to escape, confirming they were the ones behind removing all the beds in that world. But the binary code we actually can't translate. Due to the way it's written, it's impossible to get an accurate translation of what it means. If you can work it out though, leave a comment with the answer. This unlisted video really doesn't help us out that much, unfortunately, as there's not many takeaways from it. So let's move on to episode 9, Watched. The video starts out with a low quality screenshot of the desert, likely the same one that the player's been in for the last 2 videos. The player isn't moving at all, and there's not a lot to see in the video, until about 3 seconds in where we see this happen. We can see the outline of what looks like a player on the left hand side, but how can there be another player if they're in a single player world? It's likely that the camera site hacks into players' worlds, probably sending this mysterious player to set up the cameras and watch over the world, making sure that they stay up permanently. If our guesses are right, we've now solved the mystery of how the cameras are getting set up and who is behind it, as this mysterious player could not be there for any other reason. The glitch at the end of the video probably represented a conflict between the player and this mysterious figure, almost like the player had been caught. Episode 10 starts with the player in the same desert as normal, attempting to climb a mountain. At around 30 seconds in, we can hear another set of footsteps for a split second, showing that the player is not alone. The footsteps likely belong to the entity that we saw last video, which would tie into the title, which is Stalked. The player appears to notice the footsteps as they turn around and do a double take to make sure no one's there. The player continues to climb the mountain, and then the video cuts to them on top of a mesa hill, where they place down a sign and write, "Who was that?" But as they are typing, we hear this weird sound in the distance that isn't a part of the music. The sound appears to be 2 gunshots fired in succession, followed by a single one about a second later. The player then pauses and looks up as he notices something. We can now see another player about 50 blocks away, on top of a little hill. We only see this player for about a second before the screen goes black and the video ends. It's safe to assume that this mysterious figure is the same one from before, and that the footsteps definitely belonged to him. But why did the footage cut off suddenly, and why was the player losing hunger? In a previous episode of the same world, we saw the player was in peaceful difficulty, but the mysterious figure must have changed it as the player was now losing hunger, something that can't happen in peaceful mode. So now we wonder, what happened after the screen cut off? Did our player ever escape, or did he become the next victim of this website, living in this world and being watched forever?